Okay, so I have a really busy day, so we're just gonna cut right to it. How is everyone doing today, guys? My name is T Cones, and we have another episode of the Owl House. This is episode 33 of the series, episode 14 of season 2, Reaching Out. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just gonna cut right to it. I mean, apologize if I'm not gonna be able to actually break the whole episode down, because like I said, I have just a super busy weekend, so I really want to get these out and just really want to talk about these episodes like right after I watch them, just to really give my initial thoughts, my initial reactions, just all that. So this episode really, it's a very serious, very emotional episode in terms of Luz as a character, because I mean, just the whole thing starts with like her, just when she literally, it's just her in the morning. She gets a notification on her phone about like a special, like a event with her mom, and like she just hits ignores and just goes back to sleep. And it's just like, even if you don't like, I mean, I'll admit I didn't figure it out what the exact event was. Like, that was perfect timing. Okay, so I didn't know what the exact event was until like once she actually said it. I just knew it had do something with her mom, so I felt like maybe it was like a special day for the two of them, or like something. I was dumb enough not to even think about what exactly it was, and even like, okay, let me just go through the episodes real quick. So, because of this special day that it is, Luz doesn't even want to think about it. She doesn't even want to talk about it. So she tries a lot of things to keep herself distracted. So she's like, well, I got the portal. I got the day of Unity to worry about. I got freaking Bellows as well, and it's like, I also have Hunter in the freaking Emperor's Coven, who now has a Instagram account. So it's like she tries messaging him, and he doesn't want anything. He's like, just leave me alone. No. Like, he even sends a picture of his palisman, who, so I didn't mention this last week, because apparently last week, like, they did give Hunter's palisman, even though it wasn't said in the episode, they like gave him a name, like in like Dana and the crew. So his name is Flapjack, according to what I've seen. Cute name, fun little name. I think I just was expecting something to be like a clue to like the past with wherever Flapjack's previous owner, who Flapjack's previous owner was. I mean, I think we can kind of start putting pieces together as to who it may or may not be, but yeah. So like, basically, Luz just tries this entire episode to keep herself distracted from actually dealing with the problem that she has. And it's like, and I mean, it is understandable, because there are going to be difficult things in life that you I wouldn't say you would try to avoid, but it's like, it's something that you on instinct would probably do, because it's something that that's either gonna make you feel worth the. See, that's the thing about this. It's like, it's very tricky to really break apart this, because I mean, for Luz, I mean, it's like, I understand why Luz is doing it. I mean, it's definitely not the healthiest thing to do, but at the same time, it's like, it's just how some people like do it. I mean, I know some people who probably like they wouldn't talk about this. I mean, it's just, but that's the thing. They would just straight up not talk about it. They probably wouldn't have like distractions like, as Luz has. I mean, but this is me who has never really dealt with something to the level that Luz has in this case, and So I really can't like I really can't fully understand what it's like. I just had, for me, it's just been, you know, a lot of like events that have happened in my life where it's like stuff that I just, when it comes to my mind, it's like stuff that I wish I could have done better or I could have maybe avoided, but it's just like, oh, I guess, yeah. But in Luz's case, you know, this is really something that she couldn't avoid because it's, well, let's just get, you know, let's just keep going. So, because Luz is looking for any distraction, she literally takes the very distraction that Amity gives her when she shows up to the Owl House, and that is because Amity wants to enter in the Bonesborough Brawl, which is like this is like this witches duel tournament, and then because the few reasons, because one, she really wants to do it, and two, her father won the Bonesborough Brawl, so she's like, if she can win, maybe she can start connecting with her father, because I mean, as we've seen through the few episodes with him, he is a bit like he is a bit distant with his kids. Like, he, by the looks of it, he really just focuses more on his work, or he just looks like he doesn't want to be where he is. I mean, but there was that one moment in Escaping Expulsion where he does, like, in a way, like, vouch for Amity, because, you know, he's like, you made a deal, you know, because when Odalia is like, oh, I'm not gonna let your friends back in the school, but it's like, you made it, but then Aldar's like, oh, you made a deal with your daughter, and a blight always upholds strands of the deal. So it's like, there was little moments like that where it gives Aldor a bit of like, maybe he isn't like the worst parent. Maybe he definitely isn't as bad as Odalia, but of course that's the question that like brings up the question, like, well, he doesn't really focus too much on Amity. I mean, he had multiple times in this episode, like, Amity will say something and he will be like, wait, what'd you say? Or it's like, he'll be like, wait, that was happening? It's like, what? It's like, so he definitely needs to be a better parent. And by the end of this episode, he takes a step towards it, but of course, it's like, it's a step of like how much will it take for Alvar to actually become a better parent. And so but yeah, so with Amity wanting to be in the Bonesborough Brawl, the predicament is there's also the Abomination Coven tryouts, or the Emperor's Coven tryout, was it? It was one of the two. It was just a Coven tryout that Aldor signed Amity up for, and so he wants her to go do that, but Amity doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to go to the Coven system just yet, or at all, actually. So she wants to just do the Bonesborough Brawl. So Luz, of course, sees that as an opportunity to keep herself distracted by helping Amity with this problem. So she like makes sure that Amity goes like under the radar, while also having this abomination that was originally tasked with guarding Amity is now, like, Amity was able to trick it by modulating her voice to sound like her dad, and having it go get like an emerald dagger from the night market. And because I've seen so many like shows and games and movies that do that trope of like having the thing like, oh, we gotta keep it distracted, we'll have it go on a quest, like go on a hunt and see what it finds on this ridiculously difficult thing to get, and it like they come back and they actually get it. Like, the second Amity said like emerald dagger from the night market, I'm like, yeah, that thing's coming back with that weapon. And so I mean, it is pretty funny when, but I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Even though I knew it was gonna come back, it was still funny when it actually did come back with it, because it's like, it's at the worst possible time, but yeah. And that's not the only plot of this episode. The other plot is, of course, with Ida, because she obviously, like Luz kind of was pointing out, there's a lot of things going on. So Ida is wanting to try to figure herself out too. Like, you know, she wants to figure out what the Day of Unity is, wants to figure out what Bells is up to, and of course wants to know what the heck happened with Rain. And so at first it seems like, well, she doesn't know how exactly to get that information until they go to the Bonesborough Brawl and they find Warden Wrath, who is the reigning champ of the Bonesborough Brawl. So Ida sees that as an opportunity to try and figure out what exactly Warden Rapp knows, and maybe figure out ways to stop Bellows, the Day of Unity, and save Rain. But Warden Rapp isn't biting, so Ida then conjures up a plan to have like a blabber, to do like a blabber potion, so that way Warden Rapp actually spills the information that he knows. So basically, that's kind of the subplot with Ida, is she is trying to make this potion, and she does get help from Edric. Actually, I really liked Edric. I really liked that they gave Edric like like a little arc in this episode, because he starts off as like he's just there to help Amity out by giving her his concealment stone, which actually gives him like the fancy attire, like the straight hair, like the good look, like he has like a little mustache when he takes it off, and like his hair is a bit messed up, and his clothes are very like modern, I guess is the best way. Like it's a t-shirt with like sweatpants by the looks of it. So he really just is off to the side at first, but he then stumbles upon Ida, and he sees that they're trying to get ingredients, and that includes like trapping some animals and like some. But so Edric starts helping him out, because he actually dabbled in beastkeeping magic, and even some. I think they said oracle magic too, or was it? I'm trying to remember what the other one was. Like I know, like beastkeeping was one. Beastkeeping. Oh no, potions. That's what it was. Potions and beastkeeping. Those were the two that Edric was been dabbling himself in, and I like that. I really like that Edric himself, even though he's an illusionist, wants to do other magic. And just see him work off Ida and King is really cool. I even love it when King starts riding on Edric's back. It just looks so cute. I love it. So that's that plot going on, and then the main plot, of course, like I said, is Amity in the Bonesborough Brawl. And as we have seen in like previous episodes, she is a really good fighter, so she's doing pretty well in the brawl. In fact, she's doing so well that Luz feels like she doesn't even need to do much. So she, at first, is like, I'll just stand here with my thoughts and watch. So, of course, that's when she starts, because she isn't doing anything. She feels like she needs another distraction. So she's like, well, I mean, this is the Bonesborough Brawl, so maybe I can help her out by entering and taking out the competition. So it's like, so she does, that's exactly what she does. She doesn't join Amity, like she enters in herself to like battle it out, so like she can, like she said, take out some of the competition, so Amity can get to the championship match quicker, because that's the thing, I wouldn't say it's like a bracket system, it's basically just whoever makes it, it's like last person standing battles Warden Rapp or something like that, and kinda, I guess, I mean, it definitely leads to a lot of cool moments. Like Luz does learn another spell in this. She learns kind of like this. I wouldn't say like a safety mechanism. It's like basically it's like a hover spell right before you hit the ground. It's like a safety hover, I think is the best way to sum it up, because so I guess the best way to sum it up is you get tossed up. If you get tossed up into the air and you have the spell, right before you hit the ground, you'll hover for a second, and then you'll land softly, and does help Luz out a few times in this, or once in this episode, actually. She gets flung into, or I think once or twice in this episode, she gets flung up in the air, spell saves her, which is, again, I really like that she's learning more and more glyph combos, and it's also intriguing to see just exactly how many she'll have by the end of this series. I am really intrigued to see where she will actually go in terms of like her power set. But yeah, so Amity and Luz, they both win nearly all the fights. They get to Warden Rapp, and it's like, okay, all we gotta do is beat Warden Rapp and we're good. That is until Luz Luz just tries to, okay, so it's before the fight. Amity, she's getting healed up by Emira, who is learning healing magic, which I also like that she has her healing stat, who also learning other magic too. So, Luz at first is just there, talking to Amity, but Amara's like, Luz, I need to focus on the spell. Can you please? And so Luz is like, oh yeah, no, I'll be fine. I'll be quiet. Just leave me here with my thoughts. And of course, it's like she doesn't want to be left alone with her thoughts, so she starts walking around, and then she runs into the Abomaton back, who, like I said, went and got the Emerald Dagger and just came back. So Lewis is like, "Oh, you're back," and so the Abomaton starts flailing its alarm. However, one thing about Luz is the thing about the alarm is it sounds exactly like the notification alert on Luz's phone. So Luz like. She wants that sound out of her head, so she knocks the alarm off the Abomaton to shut it up. And of course, this unfortunately leads to Alador finding out because, he says, or like he eventually, like he shows up and he says, like the Abomaton alerted him to his presence when the alarm system was attacked. So unfortunately, Amity, throughout this episode, she can tell that something's not right with Luz. I mean, as we saw in a few episodes earlier with Follies of the Covenant Parade. So she isn't sure what's exactly wrong with Luz. Like, she knows something's up, but Luz won't talk to her. And then Luz even lies to her about the Abomaton. Like Amity walks over to see, like, the Abomaton, and she's like, oh, it's back. She's like, you didn't, like, do anything, right? Because it usually alerts it's under attack, and Luke's like, oh no, I didn't do anything. So it's like there's those little fractures in in terms of like their chemistry because our relationship because Luz has lied in previous episodes, like she has done that before. It's just like just because of her emotions are kind of like driving her judgment here and there, and so. Part of me was a little bit worried to see exactly where that lie would go because, that's the thing. Like, Alador shows up and is like, I was alerted when the Abomaton alarm was disabled, and it's like, Amity's like, Luz? And it's like, But, of course, Alador is there because of the fact that Amity didn't go to the Coven tryouts and instead went to the Bonesborough Brawl. And, oh yeah, I completely forgot to mention this, so... In order to prevent Amity from being discovered at the Bonesborough Brawl, Emma and Edric gave her their concealment stones to have her in this pretty freaking cool outfit. I actually do love the outfit that Amity's in, and so that's been keeping her concealed the entire fight. But then Alador comes in and is like, no, I can tell that's you. But for Amity, she doesn't want to do anything. She's, of course, Alador's like, maybe if we beg, we'll have you try out next year. And Amity's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want anything to do with you. And she's like, I don't even want to do anything with you, Luz. And so she grabs Luz's invisibility spell and just bails. And so luckily for Luz, she's able to she follows Amity to the big tree that they created in Enchanted Grove. I was wondering if that was ever going to come back into play. I was waiting until they would actually bring that back, and I love that it's in this episode because there's a lot going on between Luz and Amity in this episode. They're both dealing with some family issues, and so it leads to a really sentimental moment between the two because Amity, of course, is she has her issues with her father, but also she knows something's going on with Luz. And so Luz finally does open up to what exactly it is, and that is it's the anniversary of her father's passing. And I'll admit, when she said it, I was in my room when I was watching this episode, and I just felt like I should have known that. Because that's the thing, we knew Luz's father was out of the picture. We just didn't know why. We just didn't know why. Some people, I think most people assume that it was because of, he passed away, but it wasn't, 100% confirmed. Plus, in this episode, it's it just said, event with mommy, so it's it was hard to really, figure out what exactly it was. In my opinion, I thought it was just something special between her and her mom, and it is. It is a special event between the two. It's just the fact that it's something that both of them definitely have value for because of being Luz's father, And so, of course, that ties into like Amity's situation with her dad because Luz is like, well, I mean, everything going on with your dad, it's like, I don't know, maybe I got jealous or just like saw this as a chance to, it's like, so it's definitely it is a, I mean, it felt so when, I mean, Lou's talking about her dad, like she even said, like, since it happened a long time ago, and it doesn't affect me now. It's like just hearing her say that it feels so conflicting to hear such a thing. Because I mean, obviously, death happens, and it's like it definitely is hard at first to let go. I mean, even if you can't. I feel like you really can't fully let go. But again, I mean, this is me who's only lost like in my lifetime. I've only really lost like a relative, and that was like my grandma, and so like I was like 10. I mean, it's like maybe that's more what Luz was talking about, because like she was younger, and so like she is because she was little, like that's when her father passed, and so like for her it's just been she's been growing up without a dad. It's like I don't know, it really does lead to a sentimental moment between her and Amity, and even at the end of the episode, they kind of like their little they have a little like thing with Luz has some flowers, Amity makes an abomination balloon, and like they send it off into the sky. Like that was a really touching thing. But I'm going up too far ahead because we got to come back to what exactly is going on, and that is with Ida wanting to make her bladder potion. Apparently Edric has been really liking the fact that Ida has been complimenting him and that he's actually doing something. Like he's actually doing something that he likes. So he doesn't want to disappoint Ida. So he tries to speed things up because they said the potion needs to heat up. And so Edric's like, oh, I got it. He grabs fire bee honey and he dips it into the potion, which unfortunately leads to it becoming like a transformation potion. However, Edric doesn't realize that, and so he gives it to Warden Wrath, who was detained by Aladar just like that. Like Aladar shows up and he's like, it's so freaking ridiculous. But unfortunately, Warden Wrath turns into this like beastly form of whatever of himself. So it leads to a pretty cool sequence where Ida and Luz they're trying to hold him off. Like even Alador and Amity they help out by having like they combine their abominations to like get this like grab Warden Wrath's like legs to kind of subdue him, and so Luz is able to deliver a pretty freaking cool blow by doing this. So Ida like flies her up into the air. Luz tosses a bunch of like ice and fog glyphs into the air, and then Ida just uses her harpy wings to like spin around and activate all of them, and it just basically drops an entire like pile of snow onto Warden Wrath. Because that's the thing. It's like, well, if heating up the potion caused this, maybe giving him something very cold would like counter the effects, and apparently that works. And so Warden Wrath is fine. I mean, but of course Ida just goes in and still wants some information, and so Warden Wrath tells her, well, I don't know what happened with Rain, but in terms of the Day of Unity, it's something about merging with the Titan's head, and like whatever this new realm is, I don't think they're very open to magic, wild horse covens, and it's like so I mean, yeah, it's just of course hinting more and more at this like we're going to the human realm and we'll see what happens there. I mean it's pretty obvious. I mean, geez, the amount of like posts and memes I've seen online about that, it's just like, well, I mean, it's like Bellows and Wild Magic versus the U.S. military. It's like stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, that's exactly what's gonna probably happen. But unfortunately for Ida, that's the only information she does get from Warden Wrath. Like I said, Warden Wrath doesn't have anything on Rain, so Ida's stuck there. And then for Amity and her father, they do have a moment. Like Alador, of course, like I said, he's so distracted by his work that he doesn't even realize that he knows that Amity like changed her hair, but he didn't even realize Amity was dating Luz. Like I love that, just like just like the Clawthorns girl, and Amity's just like but I do like at least he tries to have a moment with like he's like I do like your hair. I mean, it's abomination color, and he's like, I'll talk to your mom about that because that's the thing. His mom, or Amity's mom, wants her to keep the green hair because but I do also like that for Amity. It's like she sees that as like, okay, he'll start actually treating see me as his daughter, but she doesn't fully accept that just yet. Like, he goes in for a hug, but Amity just goes for the handshake. So it's like, even though her father finally is like starting to like say, okay, I'll pay attention more, it's like for Amity, it's like, no, you still need to earn like a full like respect from me, or not even, just like accept and stuff like that. So it's like that little moment was nice. And then for like I said, for Edric and Ida, like they've had a bit of a thing. I also love that Ida doesn't want to call Edric because it sounds too close to Ida, which I think a lot of people, I don't know if people pointed that out or not. I'm just like, yeah, it's Edric and Ida. That's a weird. That's weird. Those are two intriguing names, and that thing's back on. Okay, no. Yeah, and like I said, the episode really ends when Amity and Luz, they're at the tree again. Luz has her flower. Luz made flowers, and then Amity has the abomination blue, and they send it off. And of course, it's just like a nice, touching little moment for Luz. And then it does go to the human realm where Camila has a flower on like her fodder on the window still. And V's in the background. She's cooking. She's in her vascular form too, which I found. I mean, I guess it makes sense in terms of like V wanting to maybe just not like be and Camila or Luz, just so Camila can actually just see her for who she is and not like be distracted by the fact that V was for Luz for a bit. And so yeah, I mean. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. I mean, but yeah, this episode really just was, it was a very serious episode. I mean, there were definitely some jokes, there was definitely some lighter moments, but when it really came to that moment with Luz, Amity, and just talking about like Luz's dad and just having that moment with this like this and that little ceremony that they did, it's like it was very emotional. I mean, not much was said, and like a little bit. I mean, there wasn't like anything to like really like drive in. Like you should be feeling sad. It's like it really just let the scenes sit with you, and for me, that really was something. That was a very touching scene. It wasn't. I mean, I'll admit. I think in terms of like. I don't want to compare it to like the scene with Anne and Sprig and Hopping Mall, because I feel like definitely that scene really drove a lot of emotion too, because for Anne, Anne obviously in that episode she got super emotional, and like she and Sprig embraced with the hug, and they were in tears at the end of that episode, whereas here it was Luz does shed a tear, and Amity does like have that look of like pain for Luz. But it's nothing too severe for them, because one, they are together, and like Luz, it's like they're definitely just in that moment, just like they just want to try and be there for each other. And so Amity, just being there for Luz for that day, just being able to help her have that little moment, and it's like it was a touching moment, and it still felt very, like I said, it still felt very mature and serious for the topic that it was addressing. It's like, and so yeah. Let's see, is there anything else? No, that was pretty much it for this episode. There's definitely stuff that drives the plot forward, but this episode really was it was serious, it was calm. It was calm at some points. I wasn't gonna say it's like calm overall, but I really did enjoy this episode for that, and I'm glad we got episodes like this. I'm glad we're getting episodes that have different tones in terms of the overarching plot of the episode, but it doesn't feel too like out of left field for the show. It really is stuff that needs to be talked about. It is stuff that feels understandable for the story, and it's like, and it's needed. Like, you can't just fully ignore it. You gotta really, like Luz, you can't fully ignore it. You gotta, you do have to talk about it at some point. It's just, of course, it's like, well, who do you want to talk about it with? It's like, do you trust them? It's like, and of course the question is like, does talking about it gonna help? And it's like, yeah, talking about things that are tough can definitely help, because like I said, you just need the people around you to be there to support you. And it's like, in this case, Luz had that. She had Amity to support her. And so, I mean, hopefully she does talk about it with Luz and King, and maybe they'll be helping to support her too. So, all right, yeah, so that's everything I got for this one. So, if you liked it, leave a like. If you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. And if you want to subscribe. You don't have to. I'm just saying. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.